following video I'm going to be showing you how to make your very own DIY cat tree. Now this particular cat tree I'm making is going to my girlfriend who recently just got 2 Maine Coons. As you know, Maine Coons are big cats, so the goal of the project is to be able to support my own weight. If it's able to support my own weight, it's able to support the 2 Maine Coons. As you can see, my cat here takes a pretty good liking to the cat tree, so I'm hoping that her cats do as well. The materials I got for this project is some carpet, a 6-foot beam of wood, 2x4, some rope, and some circular base that I got at Home Depot, about $10. I'm also going to be using some spare plywood I had for the DIY grow box. As you can see here, this was a bit of a blueprint for the design, and it's fairly accurate in terms of how it turned out in the end product. So first I went ahead and started with taking the 6-foot beam and cutting it into a 4-foot section and a 2-foot section. Now I'm using that rope that I had as well and just stapling it around the 2-foot beam. It takes a long time, of course, but came out pretty well, as you can see. It is tedious, and with all the staples I made them all on one side, that way I could kind of, I guess you could say, hide it in the end product. Now, next we're going to be carpeting the rest of the 2-foot beam because I didn't have enough rope, so that's just one of those things. In terms of carpeting these pieces that that you're going to be in the project, you're definitely going to need a staple gun. I'm using one that's air compressed, and it worked really well. I'm using the technique just kind of overlapping the carpet over itself and then folding it up top. Now keep in mind that I am going to have a piece of plywood screwed to the top of this beam or stud, so you won't be able to see any of that. Here I am also carpeting the 4-foot section. And mistakes were made. But once again, the joy of watching someone else's video, you get to learn from their mistakes. Measure twice, cut once. I've never really been a fan of that method, but I advise you to do it because you're going to save some carpet. I ended up using like 20 square feet of carpet for the video and for the project, and I was just barely having enough by the end of it. So I would recommend maybe getting 25 square feet. It's going to cost you about $1 a square feet at your local hardware store, so that's that. I had to put a second piece of carpet over that piece of carpet, and nightmare. Turned out alright though. Here you can see the progress that's already been made. We've come a long way. And you can also see the chintzy carpet errors there, but hey, first time doing carpeting, so. Here I'm just kind of marking out where I'm going to put those studs, and because I'm going to be screwing the studs into the base from underneath, and obviously I'm going to have to know where to screw them in, so I'm kind of drilling two pilot holes on each side, and as you can see here in a minute when I flip it around, there's going to be 2 holes on the bottom. So all I got to do is line up the studs with where I marked in pencil and then screw in the screws. Pretty simple. And here I'm doing just that. Now I used some massive sturdy screws, and I didn't see any need to use more than 2. If you're wanting to go for just extra sturdiness, you can probably put 4 screws or 3. 2 is fine for me though. Also notice that I screwed that in the wrong way. I have the staples facing outward, and that's not the most aesthetic way to do it. So, as you can see here, I flipped them back around, which was a nightmare, but either way. So I'm just screwing in the other 4-foot stud. Took a while. I think the drill's running out of batteries as well, so charge your tools. And there they are. Nice and flush, so they won't be wobbling around on the floor. Exactly what I wanted. Next, we're going to be screwing in a platform to the 4-foot stud. Now, I did use a lot of screws for this, and they weren't the massive screws I was using earlier. They were just some decently long screws. Here you can see it's, looking nice and flush on multiple planes, of course. Oh yeah. And I don't even remember how big that piece was. It was probably just like 15 inches by 15 inches. The original blueprint said 2 feet, but do not be misled by that. It may look really unsturdy right now, but just wait. Here I'm cutting out some more carpet with a box cutter. Kind of a nightmare. Wasn't sharp at all. It's kind of fraying all the ends, but that's alright. And now, once more, we start carpeting. I'm kind of questioning the narration of this video, as it's kind of self-explanatory, but there are some things that need to be discussed, so. Using the same just tucking over itself method. And it's working fairly well. Going a little overboard with the staples as well, but hey. Excuse my geeking out here. I felt really unsafe having staples right next to my eye, so I was turning my head, trying not to get a staple in the eyeball. Should have just been wearing safety glasses, but once again, learn from my mistakes. And I have also a piece of wood here. I could give you measurements for all this, but in reality it's kind of just a at-whim thing. I think it was maybe 11 inches by like 4 or 5 feet. And I'm just measuring out. Obviously I can't have the cat tree like this. That would be kind of odd. I guess I could, it's my cat tree, but just measuring it out. And I decided I wanted like a folding mechanism, right, with the that piece of plywood, to where when they're kittens, it's a little ramp, but when they're older, you can flip it up, and it's like a second ramp to get to the higher level, right? So, when they're big and strong, they like options, so, Here I am also putting a support beam from the 4-foot section onto the 2-foot section. Now, when I just screwed it into the 2-foot section, that piece of plywood, it was kind of chintzy, to tell you the truth. So here I am just screwing them together essentially, and it's going to make it a whole lot sturdier. And once again, much, much, much more carpeting. I will say this though, when you're doing this, and if you're using a staple gun, buy a whole lot more staples than you think you need, because even if you pull it tight and put a decent amount of staples, you're probably going to need more than what you think. You see, the carpet is acting as a hinge between these two pieces of wood, and some would say that isn't the most sturdy way to do it. I disagree. And as you can see, it supports my weight. It supports my weight just fine, I might add. And I weigh a whole lot more than 2 Maine Coons, so that's a success. Here I am doodling a picture of a cat. Now I'm planning on staining this wood, and I was hoping that this little picture of a cat would kind of like seep through the stain to where you'd be able to see it very vaguely. That wasn't necessarily the case. The stain kind of just went right through, or covered up the image. So, waste of time. But I suppose that's why you're here. I'm using a dark black walnut stain on all the exposed wood pieces. Now I do realize that it looks really ugly under the the little bridge that can fold up and down because I didn't carpet the bottom of it, but I ran out of carpet. What are you going to do? Cats don't care anyways. Well, if that was the motto, I suppose I wouldn't be making this in the first place, because cats seem to take liking to cardboard boxes more than they do cat trees. So the project is essentially done, just staining. I did sand the wood because, you know, want to make sure it's nice and glass-like. Got to stain that too, don't forget the beam. You are going to have to watch out for the carpet getting stained on it as well, because that certainly is an issue, as it was with me. Once everything was stained and dried, I brought it inside, and my cat took a liking to it. Now, it wasn't too heavy either. The whole project cost around $50. Highly recommended. Fun project. And hey, building stuff for your cat's never a bad thing. As you can see, the hinge there working all good. I would recommend placing this near a sunny spot for the maximum cattage. Thanks for watching.